We're here to talk about energy efficiency. It looks like we've already created it with lack of lighting in the room. So, good afternoon, and thank you all for being here today. We're here to launch what we believe will be one of the most ambitious behavior-based energy savings programs by any state government that has been undertaken in the nation. So we're very excited about this, and I'd like to just recognize I'm joined by several of our cabinet secretaries, Secretary Dorflinger, Secretary of Finance, Administration and Information Services, Secretary Reese, Secretary of Agriculture, and Secretary of Energy and Environment. Colonel Teague, thank you for joining us here today. Rick Kresak, who is the State Program Manager for our Energy Efficiency Savings Program, and Claire Farr, who is the Program Manager for ES2 that you will hear from in a few moments, and Bill Kinzer, who's the President. Thank you so much for joining us here today. We're glad to have you and many of your staff members that have joined us here today. Our 20% by 2020 program is just about what it sounds. It's a roadmap to reducing energy consumption by 20% in the next 6 years. It uses 2012 agency energy usage as a basis and a baseline. You might recall that the Oklahoma State University used a similar program to reduce energy expenses at campuses statewide by more than $30 million since its inception in 2007. The 20% by 2020 program comes from legislation that was passed and I signed into law in the year 2012. Senate Bill 1096 directs state agencies and higher education institutions to achieve at least 20% improvement in energy efficiency and conservation by the year 2020. I first outlined this initiative, you might remember, in my first statewide comprehensive energy plan that we launched and presented during the 2011 Governor's Energy Conference. Then I asked the lawmakers to write into law the energy efficiency portion of that energy plan into law, and they did that in Senate Bill 1096. Our plan outlines several common sense energy conservation policies for state agencies and higher education institutions that we believe can save the state millions of dollars, hundreds of millions of dollars, in fact. Our goal is to give Oklahoma taxpayers a government that is smaller, smarter, and more cost efficient. By pursuing these energy conservation reforms, we'll be able to achieve that goal. Estimates indicate that potential agency energy cost savings and cost reductions could reach at least $150 million by the year 2020, with additional reduction potential in subsequent years in energy savings. It's anticipated that savings could range anywhere between $300 to $500 million over the next 10 years of this program. These cost savings can be put to better use by lowering the tax rate for Oklahoma families and letting them keep more of their hard-earned money, and for our small businesses, or even by improving a lot of our core services in our state, whether it's education, transportation, public safety, and health care, which are priorities for our state. The Energy Savings Plan also addresses a number of other issues, including temperature setting of hot water systems, when our grounds should be watered, and what temperature the room should be set in the buildings. But our plan also includes simple things like all employees should embrace. Many of them already do these things at their personal homes. Now we'd like for our state employees to implement these things in state office buildings, like turning off lights in an office of unoccupied rooms and making sure the lights are off when they leave for the day and close the state agencies, or even turning off computer systems when they leave the office and go home. So we're going to now have a little bit more specifics about the plan from Rick Kresak, who is our state energy manager, and I'm very pleased that we hired a state energy manager to implement this program. He's with the Office of Management Enterprise Services. Excuse me, Rick.
Thank you, Governor Fallin. It's a pleasure to be here today for the launch of this exciting new energy conservation program. As Governor Fallin mentioned, the energy program at Oklahoma State University saved over $30 million since starting in 2007. It's been a long and sustained journey at OSU, a journey I was part of from the start. Today, as we start our own journey with our business partner, Engineered Systems and Energy Solutions, or ES2, we will use some of the same conservation principles and practices in Oklahoma's program to reach our goal of 20% reduction by the year 2020. During the first major phase of the program, we will work with state agencies to gather utility bill data and establish a baseline of energy use. This baseline will be used to measure our program's success. This baseline data will also be used to benchmark the current performance of our facilities. Once the benchmarks are set, and as we improve the efficiency of facilities through the implementation of our behavior-based conservation program, this data will be used to apply for Energy Star certification for those buildings that qualify. After a facility's performance has been benchmarked, we will train and educate building occupants on daily habits and conservation measures. These habits include, as the governor mentioned, turning off lights when you leave a room, managing plug loads, and powering off equipment when not in use. While these efforts might sound small, when multiplied by all the employees working in all state facilities, the savings potential is quite large. Our goal is to change the culture with respect to how we use energy in our daily routines and transform building occupants from energy consumers to energy conservers. Creating this culture change will ensure the program is sustainable well beyond the length of our contract. We will also help agencies focus on improving the operations, maintenance, and use of existing equipment in their facilities to optimize efficiency. One of the ways this will be accomplished will be through implementation of building operating parameters that will standardize how we use our facilities. These parameters outline how facility space should be managed when occupied and unoccupied. Additionally, facilities will be surveyed and building systems will be managed based upon their occupancy patterns and usage. Building heating, ventilation, and air conditioning systems will be turned off when facilities are not occupied. For example, where building control systems permit, large auditoriums that are not scheduled to be used will not be conditioned until they are needed. Using the expertise of ES2, we will also provide agencies additional building analysis and support for energy reduction in facilities that have the highest potential for energy savings. This includes engineering support to look at building systems that aren't performing as expected. While this is a state-led program, the responsibility for implementation and program management will be at the agency level. This allows us to build ownership of the program and makes sure it's tailored to meet the agency's needs and missions. Furthermore, to ensure successful implementation and longevity, energy managers will be established at the agency level. These energy managers will be the day-to-day quarterbacks of the program. They will be trained on the use of behavior-based conservation principles, change behavior, and will be responsible for monitoring agency utility data and building performance. As you can see, our energy program is ambitious. Without the help of a business partner that brings both creativity and technical ability to the table, the program would not be possible. I would like now to announce Claire Farr from ES2. Claire will tell us more about ES2 and their program. Claire?
Good afternoon. My name is Claire Farr, and I will be managing the implementation of this program on behalf of Engineered Systems and Energy Solutions, or ES2. With me here today are our ES2's president, Bill Kinzer, and my colleague, Timur Akhmedov. Since 2008, ES2 has been providing simple solutions to complex building problems. Every day, our engineers, technicians, and consultants help building owners better control their facilities in order to reduce energy expenditures and improve occupant productivity. ES2 provides energy audits, master energy planning, automated Logix facilities management systems, and specialized HVAC services. As an Oklahoma-based corporation, we have had the privilege of working on exciting projects across the state, from the Devon Tower and VA Medical Center to working with the cities of Tulsa, Lawton, and Norman, to the state penitentiary in McAllister. Moreover, we have already used these same behavior-based energy conservation techniques built into the 20x2020 program to help Oklahoma agencies reduce their energy consumption. One of my favorite success stories is from the OU Physicians and Children's Physicians buildings, where ES2 partnered with the University Hospitals Authority and Trust, or UHAT, to develop a comprehensive energy strategy. This strategy has successfully reduced energy consumption by 20% in a single year across 1.3 million square feet. Under the slogan, Save More Than Lives, the behavior-based educational campaign has successfully educated building occupants to turn off computers, lights, and specialized medical equipment when not in use. In fact, by establishing a competition between individual floors in the clinic, UHAT was able to reduce electricity consumption by 6% in just 2 months. It is exactly this type of creative educational outreach campaign that we will teach agency energy managers to deploy throughout Oklahoma. We have developed a program of dual strategies to engage all building occupants on daily energy conservation habits, while simultaneously improving the operations and maintenance procedures for the existing building systems, such as heating, air conditioning, and lighting. While we are very proud of the program we have developed, our role is now that of facilitator. We will provide state employees a path to follow, the education they need to develop and implement their local energy conservation plans, and the expertise to address any obstacles they may encounter. But it is the hard work of those dedicated public servants that will achieve Oklahoma's visionary goal of reducing energy consumption 20% by 2020. As Rick mentioned, the initial phase of this program will establish the very first baseline of how much energy is currently being expended in each state facility. But based on the information that is currently available, we estimate that our strategy will help the state of Oklahoma avoid spending $150 million on utility bills between now and 2020. Just imagine the impact to taxpayers of $150 million in reduced costs, especially given that this program will be paid for solely by the realized energy savings. We hope that this program will create a model for other states seeking cost-effective energy management strategies. But regardless, as an Oklahoma-based corporation, we couldn't be prouder to be serving our great state. And now we will hear from Secretary Jim Reese.
Thank you. So while we're launching this today, this press conference, the Governor Fallin, and Secretary Dorflinger has made us aware that this was going to happen, and we've been making plans along the way to try to do our own savings, but we're very excited about the opportunity to learn of other ways to save money. For instance, in the Department of Agriculture, we've replaced the HVAC unit in the department. We had the third floor had the agricultural lab in it, and it was moved out, and so we had that vacant space. We went ahead and moved several other temporary employees to a temporary space so that we could redo the entire third floor and move people in. We're ensuring that we use natural light. Previously, we had offices up against the building so that the offices got the windows. We're moving the offices away from the windows so that the natural light is shared throughout the entire space. The cubicles are going to entail visible plexiglass or glass. And also, I wanted to mention that I was actually officed at USDA Farm Service Agency on the OSU campus when they implemented the cost savings there and when Rick was in charge. And you know, we talked earlier about how people will use their office buildings the way they do at home. Actually, you'll learn a lot of cost saving measures, energy saving measures in the office that you will take home. So after you realize how much energy you can save, you go home and you realize, geez, what are all these lights doing on? So I'm excited. Certainly, another thing that the Ag Building does I wanted to mention was we got a Homeland Security grant for the front entryway to the building. And while that was mostly for security, it also closed off those entryway doors so that the air coming in when people come in and out doesn't go through the entire cubicles that are located on the first floor. So,
Good job. Okay. Thank you very much.